I'm Rachel Dworkin from the Chemung County Historical Society. Today is June 23rd, 2020, and I am here interviewing
Martha Smith.
for the COVID Memory Project. Martha, I understand you used to work at the Elmira College. Can you tell me what you did there and how long you worked there?
My most recent title at Elmira College was Instruction and Outreach Librarian. That was actually my third title. It changed over the years based on the different things that I was doing. But I began working there in October 2001.
Okay. When did the college shut down, or what was the college's initial response to the pandemic?
The initial response was, as I recall it, caution, certainly wanting to do the right thing to keep everybody protected and safe, both the students and people that worked at the college. So fairly quickly in February, we had guidance about distancing, frequent hand washing, and we weren't to the point of wearing masks yet, but if we met with someone else in work, then we made sure to be about 6 feet apart. But in a lot of ways, life was not substantially different at work because I had my own office. All of my colleagues had their own office or workspace, so it wasn't as though we had been crowded in like a cube farm or an open floor plan, and all of a sudden had to distance ourselves in our work. That's about how it went.
Okay, and then when did that change?
That changed pretty quickly in mid-March, as I believe the second week of March, the college made the decision that the rest of the winter term, as it was then, would be delivered virtually, that all employees should work from home if they could. And this was, of course, a changing situation. It seemed like every day it was evolving, and first it was going to be, well, at the beginning of March, we're going to give you the option to work from home if you want. And then once the decision was made to comply, and again, this was with New York State guidelines. New York State said, you have to do this. So the college said, okay, we have to do this. So we took home what we thought we would need, anything that we wanted to have from our offices or workspace that was ours. And it definitely had a feeling of almost like evacuating, or something was coming and we had to flee. Not that it was an enemy or a foe, like a hurricane or something, but it had that feeling.
Okay, so you were working from home starting in mid-March.
Yes, about March 17th, 18th, and continuing on until the end of the spring term, and that ended at the end of May.
Okay, so what kind of work were you doing from home?
The kind of work I was doing was I was dealing with emails. The way we had things set up with the library is a lot of what we offered in terms of services and resources was already online, because over the last few years we noticed that fewer and fewer students came to actually ask us for help. And we said, well, if they're not going to ask us directly, can we put the information where they will get it and feel comfortable getting it? And that meant online. So through the library's webpage, we had lots of information. We had email, we had a text service set up, we had through our FAQ section, there was yet another way to contact us. So however students felt comfortable, they could get hold of us. And honestly, most of the things that I was doing at work, I could do remotely. So apart from you know, going downstairs for my commute rather than hopping in the car and driving to the college, there wasn't a whole lot that was different. The one thing that I couldn't do at home was to make videos, and for that I would have needed to have been at my desk at my computer, because that software was loaded on that machine and I had to use that machine there. I couldn't use it remotely.
Okay. So the college has had some financial difficulties and has made some decisions regarding those financial difficulties. How did that impact you?
It impacted me directly because I was informed on Thursday, June 4th, in an online meeting, that the college had to make some, I forget exactly how the provost put it. I met with the provost and my director, and he was saying that the college had to make some cuts essentially, and he was very sorry. They didn't, this was in no way reflecting on my experience, skills, abilities, etc. And at no point did he actually say, "You're out of a job." I actually had to ask him and say, "So let me just confirm this. Are you telling me that I am taking a cut in pay or that my position has been eliminated?" He said, "Your position's been eliminated." And I said, "Thank you." So that was how I learned about it. I'd seen something in my calendar a few days earlier and had told my director about it, and she said, "Well, I don't know anything about that." And then it disappeared, and then it reappeared again. So it was done pretty quickly and without any consultation with the faculty. There had been some indications from the college's president that the finances were not good. The college has always been tuition driven, which means that if you don't have students coming in the door and paying tuition, you just don't have the money to spend on other things. So we were already in some difficulty, and I think COVID just didn't help at all. So that is how it went down. My last official day of work was Friday, June 5th. And I went and got my things on Friday and went on from there.
So what have you been doing? Have you applied for unemployment?
I have.
And how did that process go for you?
Well, I've never had to apply for unemployment. The only times I've been let go, there was actually, I think, only maybe once where I was working and the position was cut, possibly twice, but it was early. I was in my 20s. I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was working different jobs, and so when those jobs ended, I was already ready to move on. Other positions, when those ended, it was my choosing. I said, I'm going off to, graduate school or another job or something. So it was actually a fairly straightforward process. I'm used to completing questionnaires and surveys, and this wasn't too bad. And so every week I go in and make my claim, and I have been checking the Chronicle of Higher Education and LinkedIn. My director has been forwarding me things. I found 2 positions that I'm going to apply for. I'm in the process of rewriting my resume and CV, getting transcripts for one position that wanted them. So I'm making progress. It's taking time. But then I've been working at the college for 18 years, and I've done a lot of things, and it's kind of a challenge to put that all into a short document like a resume. A CV gives you more latitude, but still you don't want it to go on and on and on. You want it to be manageable. So
yeah. Are you eligible for the additional $600 that was...
Yes, and I have been receiving it, which was a great and pleasant surprise. It took away a lot of the stress and worry that I was thinking, how much am I going to be making a week? And, my husband is self-employed, and a lot of his work depends on events. And he makes furniture, and taking them to events where people see it and can get their hands on it and then decide if they want some and then order some. So, that's at least 6 events a year, and one by one, as time has gone on, every single one has been canceled. And it's frustrating because that's how he's getting income and keeping busy and doing work that he likes to do, and now he's not getting as much work.
So aside from the work issues, how do you think COVID has affected you in, your personal life, in your pastimes, your emotional?
It was, Elmira is, a lot of people would consider it a backwater. It's a small town in upstate New York. It is far away from urban centers. It has not had to deal with the crises and sheer horror of what a lot of places have had to deal with and are even now dealing with in terms of this virus. So I think I've been extremely lucky. I also live in a house on some land, not terribly close to any neighbors, and my husband and I are both very much homebodies. Also, we're just not used to going out. My salary has, I haven't had a raise in years. I can't tell you when the last raise was that I had. And even then, it was probably something like 2%, and it was eaten up by an increase in the cost of health insurance. So we have gotten used to living very frugally, not going out very often and spending money in restaurants or places that serve food or drink. It's a rare treat. So in a lot of ways, our lives didn't change a whole lot. We did have to start thinking about, we couldn't just go out to the store for something. We had to start thinking about, well, do I need this thing? Can I substitute something else? Can I get along without this for another 5 days a week, whatever. And so we gradually went out less and less to get supplies, to make grocery runs perhaps once a week. And, being careful, not to the degree that some of my friends, I have a wide circle of friends that live, a lot of them are in the mid-Atlantic, another cluster in Minneapolis, and scattered around other places. And so they were talking about what they were experiencing. And it wasn't to the point that they were having a much worse time of it, to the point some of them were rather paranoid about it, wiping everything down with bleach or a cleansing wipe all the time. If they bought a bag of groceries, they would, wipe down the bag or wash the bag. They would leave things to sit for a few days if they could, like a package that was delivered at the door, just, if there was a virus on it, to give it time to become non-viable. The one thing that did change for me was being home and enjoying the things that I always enjoy about home. That there are times when work seemed like an imposition, especially in the spring and summer when things are growing and I can work in the garden. I always felt like, I had to walk past all the plants and they were like, please stay, come spend time with us. And I was like, nope, gotta go work, bye. And then of course for the cats are used to having my husband at home all the time, but to have me at home also has been just wonderful for them. They're very personable, they like being around people, and so they get another human to spend time with them.
Okay. Have you been up to anything else in the community other than working and gardening and spending time with your cats and husband?
Well, I'm also a trustee on the board of the Chemung County Library District, so I have meetings for that. And those had been, in the last few months, there was only one meeting that I attended that was in person. I want to say that was the board meeting in March, and we met in the auditorium at the Steele Library, and we were all at tables that were carefully distanced from each other, and some of the members joined remotely, and it was being recorded so that it could be distributed. But that was the last in-person one, and the board meetings, and then various committee meetings that I attend for that board have all been online. So those are the things that I've been doing. There's also one of our friends decided to start a game night via Zoom, and that has worked out really well. A lot of people that would normally get to see each other at least once a year and haven't been able to, and that way we get to interact, we get to say hi, or we see what's going on with them, what they look like, the haircut, their cats or other animals kind of wander around, and we play an online game that's it's based on Cards Against Humanity, so it's really sometimes just snarky and mean, but it's the perfect antidote to a lot of what's been going on. So that's been a really, really helpful thing.
Is that something you think you're going to keep doing after this?
I hope so. We all have a lot of fun doing that, and I think as long as everyone enjoys doing it, and we can all participate, I think we'll keep on doing it. Because the future is uncertain too. Some people are talking about the second wave, and we're still in the first wave, honestly. And there's no telling what is going to happen in the future. Are we going to get locked down again? Is it going to be worse? No one knows. So I think, just doing these things that are fun and safe and give us comfort, that's really, really important.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add about your recent COVID experience?
Well, one thing I did notice when we first started these Wednesday evening games, I actually went out. This is out when the restaurants were starting to open up again for takeout or curbside. And I went out and got food from Beijing Garden. And when I went, the streets were practically empty. It was very, very quiet. No one was around. And since then, in the ensuing weeks, it's been busier and busier until, like today, I can actually say there was traffic. It wasn't like I could just zip around and not have to worry about other people. There were enough other people on the roads in cars and trucks making deliveries and such that, you have to pay attention, see what's what, be careful. Yeah. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that people will become complacent and think, well, we don't need to do this anymore. We don't need to wear masks or do distancing or be safe. And if anyone thinks that, I'll say, well, look at Florida, Arizona, some other places, Texas. They started opening up, and you also have a lot of people that say, hey, it's not a problem for me, or it's not real, and then look at the cases go up, look at the spikes, look at the problem that's happening, and then think about whether you don't want to wear a mask, or you just have to get together with 20 of your friends and party somewhere. So, and I know it's really, really hard. If I was young and single and living alone, I would just be going kind of nuts. It makes such a difference to have a partner, a spouse. For people that have a household where everyone is agreed to play it safe, wear masks, limit exposure outside, and you have that sort of little clan that you can interact with and rely on, that helps so much.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for participating in this.
Thank you.